Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the music rating, ranking, yada yada intro shit. Uh, we're in the albums of the year series onto 1990. So sadly, we've lost our beloved Pooh Bear Tavi and gained resident stoner of the channel, Rich Latta. With that being said, 90s are a fun time. I was a mean negative 14 in this year, so gotta love that. But no, I've gone back to it. There's plenty of stuff to love. In my opinion, 1990 is one of, if not the most underrated year in music. I think that there are records on records of just very strong material here. That being said, Rich, what's your sentimentality towards 1990?
Well, let's see. I was 20 years old, and uh, I think it was a good year. I'm crazy about the 90s. I think the 90s are very strong. I think it kicks off with a really good year musically. Um, I, yeah, I think it was a good year. I don't really have anything else to say about the year, but you'll see when I talk about the music.
For sure, I'll kick this one off, sure.
Okay.
Tons of good stuff here. I know that we're going to have some overlap, but for the most part, things aren't going to be identical. Honorable mentions, it's going to vary how many I have per year, but I got a couple here. First honorable mention for me, I'm not sure how much shoegaze is really going to make my lists just in general, but one of my favorite shoegaze records ever is Nowhere by Ride, going to be an honorable mention. One that I know that you feel very strongly towards because this is a re-recording, and I've actually heard the record now, is I by Robin Hitchcock. Next up, I have In a Priest-Driven Ambulance by the Flaming Lips. Really underrated Flaming Lips. Really underrated Flaming Lips record, in my opinion. I think it's really great. Possibly even like top three for me by them. I love that album. And my final honorable mention, definitely a bit of a wild card. I have Songs for Drella by Lou Reed and John Cale. The closest he ever got to like a fifth Velvet Underground record. It's just some of Lou's best songwriting combined with really great musical ideas and adventurousness from John Cale. It's really great. But on to my top five. In the fifth slot, I'm going with Violator by Depeche Mode. I love Depeche Mode, sort of their dark wave, really great sort of almost synth pop direction that they have on here, mixing in their industrial flair. I think it's just filled with great songs. When something like Personal Jesus is possibly the worst song on your entire record, you know you have a great album. Going up from there, I've got Bossa Nova by the Pixies, one that I've called out continuously as my personal favorite Pixies album. I think it's just got a great sense of their spontaneity, their charm, their sort of surf rock energy with sort of the more experimental indie rock, alt rock styles that they had. And this really sort of crosses in the middle, I think, of you still have sort of the more accessible, for lack of a better term, stuff upon Doolittle, but you still have some of the more noisy, more out there ideas on Surfer Rosa, which is why I love it a lot. Following then, I have an album by a band that I know you are just head over heels for. I have Jordan the Comeback by Prefab Sprout. In my opinion, pretty much the peak of the sophistopop genre. I think that really it's just a masterpiece front to back, some of the most gorgeous music you'll ever listen to. And to contrast that, some of the most abrasive, yucky, no good, bad day music. As much as I love it, I'm into five-star territory with my top two here. My runner-up, it's gotta be Goo by Sonic Youth. I love Sonic Youth a lot. They're bordering like a top 15 band for me. I love just their sense of sort of just adrenaline, sort of angst, and sort of experimentation that they work into things. This is probably the closest you get to them being like a straight up rock band. And as such, I think that the songs are really cool. I adore Kim Gordon as a singer. She knows just how to sing out of tune in all the right ways, and I love it. But the best album of 1990, featuring some of the most angelic vocals of all time, is Heaven or Las Vegas by the Cockatoo Twins. It's just a completely serene, gorgeous listen. Sort of a contrast to the shoegaze I was talking about at the start of the review. This is the dream pop area. This album is just a complete blast. Whenever you go through it, it's blissful, it's gorgeous, it's serene. Elizabeth Fraser as a singer is just out of this world, and the title track, Hepner Las Vegas, is one of the most gorgeous tracks I've ever heard. As such, putting it at the number one album of the year for me. Heaven or Las Vegas by the Cocteau Twins.
All right, well done, my friend. I'm really glad you mentioned Songs for Drella and Bossa Nova. I kind of overlooked those albums, but I actually love them. So, uh, you, Bossa Nova is not at the level of their first two albums for me, but very cool album. Uh, so I got a few honorable mentions. Time's Up by Living Color, Manic Nirvana by Robert Plant, Wrong Way Up, Brian Eno and John Cale, Goodbye Jumbo, World Party, and damn, these are like some of my favorite albums. It's insane they're not in the top five. Violator, Depeche Mode, maybe their best album. I'm a big fan. Saw them live. I've never properly ranked their albums though. If Violator is not at the top, it's close. Uh, they could be the best synth pop based, the best synth based band of all time. I don't know, but they're up there. Um, just missing the top five is Ghost of a Dog by Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians. Got to shout out my hometown heroes from Dallas. I'm crazy about this one. I think it's a step toward maturity from their previous album, their debut Shooting Rubber Band at the Stars, which got pretty big thanks to the hit What I Am. Great album, but I love Ghost of a Dog even more. Sadly, it tanked in sales and they went on a long hiatus afterwards. Um, okay, my top five. Yeah, I'm going with Heaven or Las Vegas for number five. Um, Absolutely gorgeous. Maybe their most accessible album, widely considered their best. I've been a huge fan ever since I picked up the Pink Opaque collection on cassette when I was a teen. The atmospheres this band creates are so lush and vivid, you can practically step into them. All right, my number four, I have I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got by Sinead O'Connor. Oh, my lordy, what a voice. So powerful. This is a stunning album. Feels so different as an incredible opener. Black Boys on Mopeds, an incredibly stirring protest song. And of course, you get Nothing Compares to You, one of the greatest ever. Every song is at least good, most are great. Number three, I've got Ritual de lo Habitual from Jane's Addiction. This is considered by many to be one of the greatest alt rock albums ever. It's got tracks that rock super hard. And of course, there's the mega hit Been Caught Stealing. Most impressive are the sprawling back to back 10-minute epics, 3 days, and Then She Did, real title, Then She Died, about a close friend of Perry Farrell's that overdosed on heroin. And then you get the gorgeous closer, Classic Girl, just an amazing album. My number two is Pod by The Breeders. This started as a side project of Kim Deal, who was bassist of the Pixies at the time. Tanya Donnelly, ex Throwing Muses, is along for the ride as well. I love this album. It's so fun, just super cool alt rock. I love Kim's high pitched little girl voice. Incidentally, one of Kurt Cobain's favorite albums as well. But my number one has got to be I by Robin Hitchcock. I think it's cool you got turned on to that album. Um, I got super attached to it. I've heard it so many times. It's just the perfect thing to put on in the middle of the night when you're chilling out. It's mostly just Robin singing and playing acoustic guitar. There's some piano, and finally on the last track, an electric guitar chimes in. I don't know. I just think these songs are so good and I love them so much. So it's my number one.
I will say that is not the last you're going to hear of Robin Hitchcock for me. I actually like his records, well, some of his records later in this decade more so. I did the deep dive a little bit afterwards and got fairly into him. I wouldn't say he's like a favorite or anything, but a lot of respect for him as an artist. But yeah, a lot of the albums there, I like this year a lot, but like I'm not crazy on the Jane's Addiction. I'm not really big on the Breeders, but all respect to it. And hell, I was an honorable mention, so it's not too bad there. So, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like 90 just doesn't get enough credit. It's like a weird middle point between when grunge started and hair metal. So, and there's like a lot of cool stuff in between, but people just don't really dive that deep, I think. I don't know. I like the year a lot.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, I guess that's really all to say about 1990. Yeah, it's pretty good. That being said, I hope that you all enjoyed this and you stick around for 91.